sent them away to get food. Jesus fed them late in the day. So now it is somewhere maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. And they're out in the water. And the storm comes up. Jesus comes to them, walking on the water. They were afraid. It's a ghost. They saw this, at first, this person coming to them walking on the water. They finally realized it's Jesus. Job chapter 9 is talking about God and his greatness. And it's interesting he uses this phrase there. Verse 8. He alone spreads out the heavens. He treads on the waves of the sea. That's what Jesus is doing. He made the bear, the Orion, the Pleiades, the chambers of the south, does great things, wonders without number. Job talking about God. But the phrase there, treads on the waves of the sea. Well, they finally get talking to Jesus about, as he comes to them, and they realize who it is. He says, "It is I, be not afraid." And we just read across that, "It is I." And again, I don't know Greek. I can't tell you this, but I can read the scholars who do. The phrase here that he uses, "It is I, be not afraid," is the I am phrase. I am. Exodus 3, verse 14. When God is talking to Moses about going and leading his people out of Egypt. Who shall I tell him sent me? What God tell him? Tell him that I am sent you. I am. John chapter 8. Jesus says, before Abraham was, I am. Same phrase is used here. I am. So he just didn't say to him, oh, it's I. It's your friend. It's your master. According to the scholars, it's the I am. It's the Almighty that's coming to you. I thought it was interesting to see that phrase used here. So he tells them, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Well, Peter speaks up. Master, if it's you, let me come to you on the water. Jesus says, come. So Peter steps out of the boat. And I put this word up here, not into the water, but onto the water. Onto the water. Peter did. Of course, after he went a few steps, we all know he took his eyes off of Jesus, just realized what was around him, and begins to sink. And he cries out, Lord, save me. And Jesus reaches out his hand. He says that familiar phrase to him. Oh, you have little faith. Why did you doubt? Who's he going to meet? Who's he walking toward? Who told him to come? Who's there? What have you seen him do? What did he do the last time he had a storm? Peace be still. But Peter took his eyes off. And we'll talk about this just in a minute, about Peter's faith. So they got in the boat, Jesus and Peter, and the storm calmed. And we looked at this phrase last time when we were talking about the storm on the sea and comparing the one then about when they were asking, who can this be, to what they said here this time. Truly, word again, truly. And the word means without any possible doubt. Truly, you are the Son of God. They recognize him for who he is. He is the I am. Okay, any points somebody wants to make about the story itself? I've got a couple of slides here I'd like to think about. I'd like to hear somebody talk about this a minute. When do we begin to sink? We just talked about when Peter began to sink. When did we begin to sink? We stop looking at Jesus, just like Peter did, right? Same thing. We lose our focus. We take our focus off of the one we ought to be focusing on. And we look at the things around us. Go back to Matthew chapter 6. You can't serve both. Don't worry about what you're going to wear. What you're focused on. Seek first the kingdom of God. Where's your focus? While focused on Jesus, Peter didn't sink. It wasn't what's going on around him that made him sink. But he allowed his eyes to move off of Jesus to the earthly things. It is the surroundings, the physical things, not the master. Did he begin to sink? In Hebrews chapter 12, a couple of points from there. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. It says, we run with endurance the race that's set before us, looking to Jesus. Looking to Jesus. What's our focus? We don't want to sink. We don't want to sink. What we're going to focus on? We're going to focus on Jesus. Peter's fear overpowered his faith. He had faith when he stepped out of that boat. When Jesus said, come, he had faith. He stepped out on that water. But the fear took over for the faith. Hebrews chapter 12 is the one that follows the great, what we call the heroes of faith, that great chapter on faith. Chapter 12, verse 1 again. So since we're surrounded with such a great cloud of witnesses, chapter 11, let's lay aside every weight and the sin which ensnares us. What gets our focus off of Jesus? The things around us. The sins that ensnare us. And let us run with endurance. You know what that means? I got a note scribbled in margin of my Bible that somebody was preaching, and I probably made a note there. But the Greek there, I'm told, is a continuous action. Run with endurance. Ongoing, 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 ongoing. So we're looking to Jesus and we're running this race and we just keep going and going and going with patience and perseverance. Running, running, and running. We don't sink. Then I thought about this phrase a minute. What did Peter cry out to him when he took his eyes off Jesus? Lord, save me. Save me. I'm sinking. I thought back to, we just had this in Matthew chapter 7. Not everyone that says, Lord, Lord. Not everyone that comes out says, Lord, save me, Lord. No. Who's going to enter the kingdom of heaven? Those who do the will of the Father. So we got to couple all this together. What do we get? We get our eyes on Jesus. We're running, constantly enduring, patience, perseverance, doing his will. That's our daily, everyday activity. Focused on Jesus, plowing ahead, persevering, doing.